They've been training in social strategy since childhood, and they're exceptionally good at it. Group influence matters too. If her friends or family disapprove of you, you're fighting a battle you may never win. Next, let's clarify security versus stability. Women often say they want security, and men assume that means money, house, or a car. Wrong. Women want emotional security. Knowing you won't crumble under pressure. Knowing you can handle their emotions without losing control. Knowing your confidence is unshakable. A broke man with emotional stability and confidence provides more security than a wealthy man who melts under pressure. Here's female loyalty in one brutal truth. Women are loyal, until they're not. Once the emotional switch flips, there's no coming back. Men can forgive and forget. Women forgive, but eventually, they stop forgiving too. Even winning the lottery won't bring them back if their emotional commitment is gone. Finally, the ultimate secret. Women want to surrender, but only to someone strong enough to handle them. They test, challenge, push boundaries, not to be cruel, but to find someone unbreakable. Most men fail because they either break under the pressure, overcompensate and become tyrannical. The modern dating market has created what I call choice paralysis. Women have so many options, they can't choose. They're always wondering if a better man is just a swipe away. Abundance of choice leads to anxiety, not happiness. Age intensifies this. At 20, she feels she has forever. At 25, still unbothered. At 28, slight panic. At 30, full-blown existential crisis. At 32, desperation begins. At 35, acceptance, or delusion. The same woman who rejected good men at May 25th lower standards at 35, not because she's wiser, but because scarcity has shifted the market. Here's the final, crucial truth. Female psychology isn't mysterious, it's different from male psychology. Stop projecting your thinking onto women. Stop expecting them to behave as you would. They operate on different software. Once you accept that, everything becomes clear. You stop taking things personally. You stop trying to force square pegs into round holes. You understand that attraction isn't logical, it's biological and psychological. You can't buy desire, negotiate it, or earn it through good behavior. It exists or it doesn't. And it depends far more on psychological triggers than on any objective. Female psychology is the ultimate game. Some men will never take the time. They'll keep failing, blaming women for being complicated. The truth is simple, women aren't complicated. They're just different. And that difference is what makes the game interesting. Once you understand it, you can decide. Do you want to play? Do you want to master, or do you walk away entirely? But at least now, you know the rules. Here's the final truth, the one that separates boys from men. You cannot control her emotions. You cannot control her attraction. You cannot control her choices. And here's the liberating part, you don't have to. Your power isn't in her approval, her attention, or her validation. Your power is in you. In your confidence, your dissonance, your clarity. In your ability to remain unshaken, unbothered, and fully present in your own life. Because here's the ultimate reality, the man who understands female psychology, yet doesn't depend on her for value, is the man who wins every time. Not through manipulation. Not through tricks. But through mastery of himself. Step 1, stop needing her. Stop orbiting around her life. Stop begging for texts, calls, or attention. The more you need her, the less attractive you become. The less you need her, the more magnetic you become. Step 2, live your life with purpose. Ambition, hobbies, mastery of skills, deep friendships, physical fitness, fill your life with your own abundance. A man who has a full life doesn't chase. He attracts naturally. Step 3, embrace challenge, mystery, and emotional intensity. Don't be a predictable, boring presence. Be decisive. Be strong. Be consistent in your values, but unpredictable in your actions. Trigger emotion. Inspire passion. Make her feel alive, but don't depend on it. Step 4. Understand without judgment. Female psychology isn't. It's a map to navigate wisely. You understand her triggers, her desires, her patterns, not to control her, but to avoid mistakes, wasted energy, and heartbreak. Step 5. Build scarcity and value. Your attention, your time, your presence, these are precious. Do not give them away freely. Be selective, confident, and unapologetic about your boundaries. Scarcity creates desire. Confidence creates respect. Step 6. Master emotional resilience. Women will challenge, test, and push boundaries, not out of malice. Learn to remain calm under pressure, strong under challenge, and unwavering in your core values. Here's the bottom line, the one thing that will change everything if you internalize it. Attraction is a response, not a choice. You cannot force it. You cannot argue it into existence. You cannot earn it through good behavior. You can only be the kind of man who naturally triggers it, through strength, confidence, independence, and mastery of self. And when you do that, everything falls into place. Women who are worthy will pursue you. Women who aren't aligned with your value will fade naturally. You will stop wasting energy, heartbreak, and time on illusions. Remember this. A man who knows the rules, plays the game intentionally, and never compromises his value becomes untouchable. He doesn't chase, he attracts. He doesn't plead, he commands respect. He doesn't fear rejection, he navigates reality with clarity. This is your ultimate empowerment. Presence over validation. Freedom over neediness. So, here's your choice. Remain frustrated, confused, and reactive to every text, every reaction, every whim. Or understand the game, master yourself, and live life on your terms. The rules aren't cruel. They're truthful. The truth isn't complicated. It's different. And when you embrace it, you stop blaming women, stop blaming the system, and start winning on your own terms. Now go live it. Understand female psychology, but who transcends the need for validation. Magnetic. Be unstoppable. Be the version of yourself that women notice, respect, and cannot ignore. Because at the end of the day, your life, your value, your freedom, that's what matters. Everything else? Noise. Thank you for listening. Now go apply it. Listen carefully. I'm about to tear apart every fantasy you've been carrying in your head about how women think. I know right now you believe you've got it figured out. You've probably watched hours of YouTube, dating experts, read a couple of self-help articles, maybe even bought that overpriced book about the female brain. But here's the harsh reality, you don't understand anything. And before you feel attacked, let me make something clear, it's not even your fault. Nobody ever taught you the truth. Instead, you were spoon-fed lies. They gave you Disney movies, romantic comedies, pop songs, and feel-good love stories. They painted women as these mysterious, angelic beings full of magic and endless depth, as if they were puzzles you had to solve, codes you had to crack, hieroglyphics waiting to be deciphered. That's the illusion. And most men live their whole lives inside it. But here's the twist, understanding women is both simpler and more complicated than you think. Simpler because there are clear patterns. Human behavior always runs on patterns. But more complicated because you've been searching in the wrong places, using the wrong tools, applying the wrong logic. Let me paint the picture. Men will spend hours, literal hours, sitting with their friends, dissecting why some girl. They'll analyze her punctuation like detectives at a crime scene. She used one emoji instead of 3, what does that mean? She said, okay, with a period. Is she angry? Is she testing me? Meanwhile, the reality is this: she's probably just lying on her couch, half asleep, watching Netflix, eating chips, and forgot she even replied to you. While you're turning it into a psychological thriller in your head, she's not even thinking about you at all. That's the first truth you need to tattoo into your mind. Women are not analyzing you the way you analyze them. They are not sitting in secret meetings with their friends decoding your text messages like they're CIA agents. Most of the time, women are simply reacting to how they feel in the moment. That's it. I'll give you a story from my own life. I was 22, just a student, and there was this girl on campus. She was stunning, brilliant, the kind of woman I thought was way out of my league. I turned into a full-time investigator. I studied her schedule, figured out where she got her coffee, even noticed what books she was reading. I was like some relationship version of the CIA, building a dossier on her life. After weeks of planning, I finally got the courage to approach her. My heart was pounding, palms sweating, rehearsed every line in my head. And you know what happened? Nothing. She barely responded. Why? Because that day, her cat was sick. Her mind wasn't on me, or on romance, or on conversation. Her emotional weather was stormy, and nothing I said or did mattered. Fast forward 2 weeks. I bump into her randomly at a party. I wasn't prepared, wasn't polished, wasn't strategic. I just blurted something stupid about the music being too loud. She laughed, the mood was right, the timing was right, and we ended up dating for 2 years. Do you see the lesson? It wasn't my carefully crafted, perfect approach that made it happen. It was the timing, the emotional state, the mood of the moment. A woman's emotional state is like weather. You can't control the weather. You can't demand the sun to shine just because you put on your best suit. The only thing you can do is check if it's raining or sunny and adjust accordingly. But here's the mistake most men make: they try to change the weather. They think if they say the right words, buy the right gifts, make the right amount of money, they can force it to be sunny every single day. That's not how it works. A woman's mood, her openness to connection, her interest in you, these things fluctuate constantly. And here's the kicker: most of it has nothing to do with you. It could be her hormones, her stress at work, an argument with her mother, the fact that her favorite TV show got cancelled, or what she ate for lunch. You're just one variable in a storm of variables. And here's the paradox: women themselves don't fully understand their own psychology. Ask a woman why she chose her boyfriend, and she'll give you a neat little list. He's kind. He's funny. He has a good job. But that's not the truth. That's post-rationalization. It's like asking someone why they like chocolate. They'll say, because it tastes good. But the real reason? Complex chemical reactions in the brain that they're not even aware of. Women, like men, make emotional decisions first, and then they build logical explanations afterward. This is what I call the retrospective narrative principle. The feeling comes first, the story comes second. Always. She feels attraction, then she creates reasons. She feels repulsion, then she creates justifications. And this is why you can't logic your way into a woman's heart. You can't show her a PowerPoint presentation about why she should date you. Slide 3, I have an excellent credit score, and my mother says I'm handsome. It doesn't work. Now let me blow your mind: women don't actually know what they want until they experience it. They think they know. They make lists: tall, dark, handsome, funny, successful. But then they fall head over heels for a short, pale, broke guy who cracks one good joke every now and then. Why? Because what women say they want and what actually triggers attraction are two different universes. It's like asking someone what food they'll eat when they're not hungry. They'll say salads, grilled chicken, healthy things. They'll grab gas station sushi if that's what's available. The biggest mistake men make is believing women's words instead of watching their behavior. They told you women love good men. They told you women want the guy who listens, the guy who waits, the guy who pours his heart out and puts her first. And you believed it, because it sounded noble, because it fed into that little fantasy in your head that if you just love her enough, if you just prove yourself enough, she'll finally see your worth. But reality? The guy who bends over backward, the guy who explains his feelings like a diary. He gets ignored. He gets ghosted. He gets replaced by the man she said she wasn't ready for. Why? Because women are not drawn to comfort. They are drawn to challenge. They are not inspired by safety. They are inspired by mystery. They don't chase what sits and waits. They chase what moves and leads. The truth is brutal, but it will set you free. Attraction is not built through sacrifice, it's built through value. And value is never proven by begging, it's revealed by living. So while you sit there trying to show her why she should choose you, another man is out there not showing, but being. Being decisive. Being confident. Being unapologetic. And that, right there, is why women follow him instead of you. Let me tell you about emotional validation, because this is where most men completely misfire. Men think women want someone who always agrees, someone who nods and says, "Yes, dear, you're right. Oh, your boss is wrong for expecting that. Totally agree. Of course, you look amazing. Absolutely perfect. Do you see the mistake? Constant agreement doesn't create love, desire, or attraction, it creates contempt. Women test men. It's some cruel game, but as a way to gauge strength, stability, and backbone. When you bend to every whim, when you validate every thought without resistance, you are showing weakness. You are demonstrating that your emotional center is negotiable, pliable, breakable. And here's the brutal truth, women are wired to respect and be attracted to strength. Not brute force. Not domination. Not arrogance. But strength. The kind that can handle emotion without crumbling. The kind that can take a challenge without aggression. The kind that can stand firm without shutting down. Now, let's talk about emotion itself. Women don't want a life of bland comfort. They want intensity. They want drama, excitement, unpredictability. Not chaos for the sake of chaos, but emotional richness. Think about it, the nice guy who does everything right, he's predictable. Safe. Boring. She doesn't leave because she hates him. She leaves because she feels nothing with him. Meanwhile, the bad boy, the man who's unpredictable, who challenges her, who has fire. He makes her feel alive. This who are objectively bad for them. Not because they want pain. Not because they like being mistreated. But because those men create emotional peaks. You need to understand this clearly, comfort does not equal attraction. Cherry does. Emotional tension does. Let's break it down further with an example. I had a friend, successful lawyer, good-looking. Every date was perfect. Every conversation flawless. Every gesture thoughtful. And guess what? No woman stayed for more than 3 months. Why? Because he was too perfect. Never argued. Never challenged. Never created tension. Dating him was like watching paint dry. Safe. Predictable. Comfortable. Boring. Then, one of his ex-girlfriends left him, gambled occasionally, and was emotionally unpredictable. Why? Because she felt something. Every day was a roller coaster. She never knew what he would do next, and that uncertainty, that emotional fire, created addiction. And this is exactly what men don't get. Women are emotional creatures first, logical beings second. The more emotion you generate, the more invested they become. The safer and more predictable you are, the more invisible you are. Now let's shift to female communication, because men misunderstand this completely. Men communicate to exchange information. Women communicate to process emotion and create connection. This is why when a woman tells you her problem, your first instinct might be to fix it. Oh, just tell your boss you can't work weekends. Problem solved. Wrong. She doesn't want a solution. She wants validation. She wants you to acknowledge how she feels, not just solve the problem. Here's a tip. When she talks, your job isn't to solve. Your job is to reflect and respond emotionally. Acknowledge her feelings. Understand her perspective. Make her feel heard. Because emotional resonance is what builds connection, not advice. Next, we need to tackle sexual psychology, which is another universe entirely. Men are simple, on or off. Women are complex soundboards with hundreds of sliders. Everything affects their desire, lighting, mood, prior arguments, hormonal cycles, sense of emotional safety, even seemingly unrelated events hours or days before. Here's the truth, women's sexuality is responsive, not spontaneous. A woman may go months without thinking about sex while single. But with the right emotional connection, she can want it every single day. Focus only on the physical, and you shut her desire down. Focus on emotional and psychological triggers, and you ignite her desire naturally. And here's a psychology trick most men never learn, preselection. Women are attracted to men that other women want. It's simple social proof. If she sees other women valuing you, her brain registers your worth. Ignore this, and she questions your value. Even scarcity triggers attraction. Always available. She loses interest. Busy, ambitious, with options. Suddenly, she's drawn to you. This is basic human psychology, and yet 90% of men ignore it. Here's something most men completely misunderstand about women today. Modern society has scrambled female psychology. Traditional rules feel like nonsense. Women today are told, be independent. Be strong. Need no man. Your career. Live your best life. And biologically, their brains still respond to traditional masculine traits, strength, confidence, decisiveness, leadership. This creates internal conflict. She says she wants a sensitive man who shares his emotions, but she's drawn to the stoic man who handles pressure calmly. She says she wants an equal partner, but she's drawn to the man who takes charge. This clash creates chaos in relationships. Men misinterpret it, women feel misunderstood, and everyone ends up frustrated. Now let's talk about hypergamy, because this is the cold, hard biological truth that men ignore at their own peril. Women are wired to date up. Not down. Not just equal. Up. In status, resources, intelligence, physical strength, social influence. It's not conscious discrimination, it's evolutionary programming. A female doctor is unlikely to choose a male nurse. A female CEO rarely chooses a male secretary. This is why successful women complain they can't find good men. Plenty of men exist, but few are above her threshold in her perceived hierarchy. And timing? That's another brutal factor. Female attractiveness peaks earlier than male attractiveness. A woman at 23 has more options than she'll ever have again. A man at 23 is usually just starting to build his life. He's built wealth, status, and confidence. He now has more options, she has fewer. This creates a mismatch in the sexual marketplace. When women have the most power, they often waste it waiting for the perfect man. When they're ready to settle, their power has diminished. It's cruel. It's unfair. But it's reality. Now, let's examine emotional memory, because this breaks men's brains if they don't understand it. Women don't remember what you said, they remember how you made them feel. You could have a perfect logical argument, but if you made her feel small, unheard, or anxious, you lost. You could say complete nonsense, but if you made her feel alive, valued, excited, you won. This is why women stay with men who are objectively bad for them. Those men trigger emotion, and emotion outweighs logic every single time. Here's something else: commitment psychology. Women want commitment from men who appear selective. Eager to commit. Reluctant, distant, or selective. You become a prize, a challenge, something worth earning. This is completely opposite to male psychology. Men think showing commitment eagerness is attractive. Women interpret it as low value. It's why men constantly fail at relationships. They play by male rules in a game governed by female psychology. The female friend zone is a psychological masterpiece. Women keep men close without romantic interest. They get emotional support, validation, sometimes even financial or practical help. The men, thinking there's hope, don't understand they are in a compartmentalized relationship. It's not malicious, it's just how female psychology separates friendship and romance. Next, rejection processing. When a man is rejected, he remembers it forever.